Let's start it off here, though, because on the Chicago Bears podcast yesterday, got a chance to talk with Courtney Cronin, as we always do on a Tuesday, and she was down at the owners' meetings, and we talked about the scenario that we brought up the other day, where the trade-up scenario, right, that Chris Emma brought up from 670 to score, and why it may make sense for the Bears if it was going to be a cheap trade up, right? Listen, if you're telling me I could trade my first round pick and my third round pick for this year, and I can go get Abdul Carter, I'm in. Let's do it. Best defensive player in football in the draft. Yeah, he's the new Michael Parsons. Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, this is easy. This is no brainer. Courtney does not subscribe to that, though. What she said in the episode, and go check out the full episode. Courtney always dropping some great nuggets in the episode. What she said in the episode was basically that, listen, you're still giving up quarterback level draft capital to move up to one of those spots, because if Abdul Carter is there, why would a team just want to give him away to you? You still would have to include probably a future first round pick in a scenario where maybe Abdul, hey bro, he got to die. Where maybe Abdul Carter falls, because he keeps just, I'm not scared of Spider, but he keeps just like, hey, how you doing? I'm back up. You would still have to give up a future first round pick in a scenario where if Abdul Carter does fall to 4, to 5, which 4 was the scenario where the Bears were going to trade up with the Patriots, that you're going out there to give up top level draft capital. But, and this is where I say this, right? And I think it is a lot tougher to have that conversation. But again, like I said, the goal is to not be here again. The goal is to not be at the top of the draft again. If I told you for a future first, for a third this year, and your first this year, you can move up to 4, is that a deal that you would want to see the Chicago Bears make? If, and this is the only scenario where I'm going, because I'm not doing it for Mason Graham, I'm not doing it for Ashton Genty, I'm not doing it for Ted McMillan, I'm not doing it for like any of the other people that are up there in that top 10. But if Abdul Carter is there at 4, feeling like he's going to be Micah Parsons 2.0, do you make that move?
I'd still do it in a heartbeat.
Oh,
I'd still do it in a heartbeat. I know that sounds
that capital.
Yeah. I'm going full P kid. I mean, bump these picks.
Hey, we need all these picks, Jordan. Oh, do you now?
No, you don't. Just follow my
lead.
lead.
Have some draft capital, did you?
No. No, I do not.
Oh, we'll get those arms out of
here. If we're talking about getting, and she's right, you know, it would have to be, you know, quarterback level draft capital in a sense to trade for. But think about this: who is usually the quarterback of the defense? What position is usually the quarterback of? Exactly, middle linebacker. Do you think that Abdul Carter can kind of be that, not middle linebacker in a sense, but be that linebacker, that defensive end who can kind of like scan the entire field, be a guy who can kind of be versatile and cover multiple positions?
Be Micah Parsons.
Yes, exactly.
That I do wonder at this level. I don't know if he is that guy.
Yeah, see,
I don't know if he is that guy. I think he can do it. I don't think I shouldn't say that. He can't do it at Micah's level in my mind.
Yeah.
I think pass rush wise, he can be the Micah Parsons pass rusher type of player that gets to the quarterback, not dominates down there, right? 16 sacks a season. You love that. I think the other things, right? The coverage spots where maybe Dennis Allen could use him in that scenario. I think that the playing back off of the line, those are the moments where you realize he's not Micah Parsons.
But I think for me, this is where I take a chance, because outside of him, who is a better blue chip prospect? Travis Hunter, as I said before on the Daily Show the other day, is probably the closest because of his versatility and being able to play both sides of the field, defense and offense, and him not knowing exactly what position he'll play. But outside of that, Abdul Carter is a complete monster and someone who will be a special piece no matter where you put him in. We talked about, what scheme would he fit in? No, he's a football player.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what scheme you put him. You make him fit because of his talent.
Yeah, that is my favorite part when people are like, he doesn't fit the scheme. I'm like, it's what I love about what Dennis Allen said, though. He doesn't fit the scheme. If a player is talented enough, we will fit the scheme to him.
Exactly.
I love that Dennis Allen said that. We will work with that level of player.
Yeah, you adapt to the player. The player shouldn't have to adapt to something. You don't become closed-minded when you have talent like that. And so if we have a chance to go up to 4, which is what we talked about before, and we have to give up 10 and next year's first, I'm fine with that because that means we're still, I guess, essentially keeping our second round picks. We're not touching anything this year outside of the first.
Yeah.
And that would be fine with me. You giving up 2 firsts for a potential star. And again, this is probably what I'm okay with it because there are lesser and lesser holes to fill. Our holes are not as gaping as they used to be since this past offseason. And so that's why I'm a little bit more confident in being able to give up draft capital going into next year, is because we're almost a complete team. And when you get a guy like I was about to say Micah Parsons. When you get a guy like Abdul Carter, Micah Parsons 2.0, then that will kind of catapult your squad into a different atmosphere, in my opinion, on defense. And so I'm all for that. Courtney thinks that it'll cost a little bit more. It'll cost big. I'm willing to go. I'm willing to go big. I'm willing to go big.
Now, here's the thing, right? Courtney's saying that the one thing I do, I go to over the cap, and I know that this is probably not the exact way that the NFL is going to look at it perfectly, right? I'm not sitting here saying that, but they do have their draft value on there right now. They have the 4th round pick in the draft worth 2,200 points, 2,297. Essentially, what Chris Emma is saying is not wrong. The 10th overall pick is worth 1,833. You could get away with giving up the 41st pick, which gets you there. You could, based off of what he's saying, give up what is the Bears pick? 72nd, 72,
72, yeah.
72. And that draft value number wise would play out. In fact, you're giving more value to move up to that draft pick for the Chicago Bears just based off of the draft trade value chart. I don't know if that's how NFL teams are going to look at this, though. I don't know if this is just a year where they're going to go, it's not that important for us to get future draft capital, especially a team like the Patriots. Now, if you can get it, again, we've seen Ryan Poles pull some stuff off here. And I think that maybe I would be a little bit like, all right, well, if you're giving me Abdul Carter and you're the Patriots at 4, what do you know about Abdul Carter? But this is a different Patriots regime. This ain't the Bill Belichick Patriots where it was like, if he gets rid of him, he's dead. Leave him alone. Like, it's not that team no more. There's a new organization here, new front office. The one thing that I do wonder with the whole situation is what is in fact going to be the trade value that it costs. Because if you're the Patriots, I'm playing hardball. Patriots sit at 4. I need as many picks as possible. I got to build this team up for a minute. This is not this season buildup. Now, I think that they're trying to get to winning more this season. And so you could talk about possibly going out there and adding more draft capital this year. That does intrigue them. I don't know if I can follow you down the giving up the future first, though.
Come on with me, Ben.
The only reason I say it is this, and listen, I think that if you get the young man in here, if you get an Abdul Carter in here, you're in a much better position. The hope is that we're not a top 10 team next year, that we're probably down in the 20s or 30s, somewhere in that range. And we're in the playoffs and we're one of the top teams in the league. The reality of that happening in one season is probably not there, which means you probably end up with a top 15 to 20 pick. That's still an impactful player heading into next year's draft. I think that's where it gets tough, because while I love what the Bears have built this year, as we head into next season, listen, it is immediate. We're going into next year. You got to start thinking about Joe Thuney's replacement. Like,
there's that. Yeah.
Joe Thuney's older. You're going into next year. You got to start thinking about Grady Jarrett's replacement. Unless you get those guys in this draft. You're going into next year, you got to start thinking about Kevin Byard's replacement, possibly Jaquan Brisker's replacement. Like that's the reason for me where if it's to go get an impact piece and it's going to be cheap this year, fine, let's do it. Maybe if it costs me a first, a third this year, and a third next year, I'd be a little more intrigued there. 2 firsts and a third, though, and that's kind of the conversation on the Capitol that Courtney essentially was talking about there. Basically, you're giving up multiple first-round picks in this situation. That's where, to me, that's a conversation I can't have. And hit that like button if you agree. Subscribe to the page. Leave a 5-star review. Y'all know what to do. I think that Abdul Carter is going to be phenomenal. I think he's going to be a great player. But this is that draft where you can get some really, really good pieces that I keep mentioning and referencing that 2016 draft, right? It was very similar to this. Ronnie Stanley goes later in that draft. Later in that first round. He's an all-pro player. All-pro, not Pro Bowl. We don't do that. But like when you look at that 2016 draft, there are a litany of pieces.
A slew of pieces.
A slew, if you will, of pieces that are phenomenal players coming out of that draft. Ronnie Stanley goes 6th in that draft. Jalen Ramsey goes 5th in that draft. DeForest Buckner is 7th in that draft. Laramie Tunsil goes 13th in that draft.
Oh, yeah, the drop off.
Taylor Decker goes 16th in that draft. I'd love a Taylor Decker right now. Know who we took that year? Leonard Floyd. Could have had Taylor Decker right now.
Wowie.
Right, Ryan Kelly goes 18th in that draft, right? Like there are those pieces. Laquan Treadwell. Sorry, I went too far.
No.
Will Fuller goes 21st. Will Fuller had a solid run. You know what I mean? Like there are those names that you look at in that draft where you go, it wasn't great at the top, but in the second round of that draft, I can get the best defensive interior pass rusher in the NFL and Chris Jones.
There you go.
That's what it feels like here. Like to me, this is one where if I can get away with going and getting a blue chip piece, I would love to. If not, though, I think that you do have to think about what Ryan Poles said yesterday. From the end of the single digits to